Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're reviewing episode 3 of The Bad Batch. That's right, episode 3 is called The Replacements. And man, what an episode it is. Now, if you haven't seen the show, don't worry. We are not going to spoil the show yet. We're going to do a spoiler-free little impromptu, what we thought of the episode. And then we will dive into spoilers after we let you guys know. So with that being said, Chris, what did you think of episode 3, The Replacement?
Yeah, I thought it was good. The name's fitting for it. They dive back, into the story more to expand on what we were talking about, in the last 2 episodes, what we saw. And we can kind of see how they're kind of playing it out, put the line together with the dots, put the dots together. And, I really enjoyed this episode. So it was good. How about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. We get to see more of, the timeline as you're progressing forward, and we get to see some, just, again, more character development, but I think it was done in a good way. I think we got to see a little bit more of both sides of the impending conflict, which I thought was pretty cool. But with that being said, yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. They had some heart-touching moments, I thought, in it, and I think they tried to dash a glimmer of hope of, what we think, okay, this is probably how they're going to end it kind of thing. I think they kind of had a little bit of some
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, into how it's going to play out. Yeah, I agree. And the name's actually fitting for a number of reasons, which we'll go into. But, the replacement, it's there's a number of things that they touched on about replacements and things like that in this episode.
That's right. Well, there you go, folks. That's what we thought of the episode before we jumped into the spoilers. So here's where you want to stop the episode, watch the show, and then come back if you don't want to be spoiled on what happens, as we are going to dive right in. So, The Replacements. Wow. What to say?
Right. Like, the name alone, you're like, replacements. Okay. Like, is this all about how the clones are being replaced by, humans and stormtroopers, as they're known to be later on in the the original trilogy series.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also like a bunch of other things with Omega being a part of the team. She picks up Crosshair's box and weapons box, and they all kind of look at her but like, is she the new member of the team? Is she replacing Crosshair? Like, there's always been 5. They were down a man, now they're up another female. So she replacement. And then later on, they're talking about, replacing Jango Fett's gene line and stuff like that, which we'll get into. But lots of brushes with replacements. So I thought it was, right off the start, replacements. It's a great title for this episode. Has so many different meanings depending on how you look at things or how you read into things, which maybe is not meant to be, but, that's how I'm perceiving it, or maybe other people are perceiving it as well the same. So. And maybe they're thinking of other replacements that I'm not even thinking about, or we're not thinking about. So drop a line in the comments if you think of anything else at the end of this movie here, this episode.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that the way they kind of dive forward in the episode, we pick up with the Bad Batch in the plane, and it's obviously having some problems from the firefight as they escaped from the last episode. And Tech is so busy developing this thing that's going to, I guess, determine if the chips in their head are faulty or what the status is.
Like a scanner kind of thing to see how their chips are and read them and see if they're active or whatnot.
Yeah, now I also thought that perhaps it was also supposed to be able to potentially disable it. I don't know.
I think so.
I kind of got that feeling, like the words that he used, like it's like it'll let us know, like it's a chip something, and he's like it'll let us know like if they're active or like what the status is of. But it also sounded like something about like deactivating them or removing them. Or I remember some conversation where it made me pop in the head, oh, they're trying to figure out like how to get rid of it, and then it popped in my head, oh, Crosshair, maybe this is gonna develop in a way of him being so smart, he came up with a way of disabling it, unlike Fives who had to like literally get it ripped out of his head. He found out a way to like disable it. And maybe that's what the plan
for future clones as well that we know down the line that have had this kind of thing happen, or procedures, or their chips have been removed. How did they find it? How did they get it removed? We know Rex was mentioned in the last episode, so my hunch or suspicion is that Rex will be seen later on, maybe 1 or 2 episodes, maybe just 1, but maybe a couple episodes. He'll be in a couple arcs, and maybe their mission will be to try and grab some other clones that they're close that they know they can kind of corner.
Like Wolf and Gregor?
get this mechanism on them. Maybe it will, do an incision in, destroy the chip, and then they'll try and get as many people as they can after they get Crosshair. So that's my guess. But I do agree that they're going to go after Crosshair and try and bring him back onto the team.
Yeah, so as they're flying through space, and Tech's busy with this, and Echo, they're like, Echo, you said you fixed this. He's like, sorry, I'm busy with a bunch of other things. It'd be easier if I had more help. And Tech's obviously busy with this invention of his. And then he says, don't worry, all critical stuff is working fine. And then we see them pop out of hyperspace as their hyperdrive fails. And he says, "Oh, our hyperdrive failed. I don't think that's a good idea, or everything's good." And he's like, "Well, that's not our life support, so we're still okay. We'll be okay." And then Wreckers tells Omega, like, strap in for your first crash landing, as they basically hurl towards this planet. They Wrecker is like, we're gonna die, and then looks at Omega and says, we're not gonna die, or so we're gonna live, or something. I can't remember what he says, but it's funny how he's like, we're gonna make it. It just quickly how it changes, like, because they're so used to being like soldiers and like, there's no sugarcoating anything, there's no kids around, but now they're like, oh, they you see them having to watch themselves. I think
even Omega tries to offer her food.
Yes, food
rations over to Wrecker, and it's like, oh yeah, ready to go. And Hunter kind of pulls him aside, being like, listen, like, she's a kid, she doesn't even have a bed to sleep in. You want to take her food away from her too. So it was kind of interesting. And then Wrecker acknowledges, like, yeah, we've never really had a kid around, and they all, like, Hunter's like, yeah, none of us have, kind of thing. So this is all new territory for them. They're used to being soldiers, mission to mission kind of thing, just do their own thing, not worry about anyone else but their team.
Yeah, exactly. And on the crash landing, he bangs his head on the side, and throughout the rest of the episode, he complains about him having a bad headache. His head hurts.
It's like he touches where the
chip was,
right? So I'm like, oh, did he like knock it into act? Like, did it knock and get activated or stronger or something? Right, because I'm pretty sure, like, well, I don't know. Every time he gets hurt or shot, he kind of heals quickly. So I think with his super strength, he kind of has, maybe quicker healing abilities and things like that. So to get shot and not really complain, but to complain all episode about, a little bonk on the head. So it's like, did it heal and then like attach to the chip so that it engages or something like that? Or so it'll be interesting to see if he kind of switches over, and he might be the first test subject,
the guinea pig,
for Tex.
On them figuring out how to fix him. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because he was complaining about it and kept touching his head, and I'm like, okay, something's going on. And so Text Device, I think the next episode is going to zero in on Text Device and what it does, and figure out a solution to get Wrecker back to normal. And once they
because I think Wrecker will start to be like, oh, we guys do the missions.
Maybe have to fight them, and they're going to have to like, oh crap, are we going to take down Wrecker? So they're going to have to like use their brains to like, incapacitate him, and then figure out a way to like get the chip out of him. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing that we're going to see in the next episode or so. And I think that's going to help them realize, oh, if we can save Wrecker, we can definitely save Crosshair. Like, clearly it's the chip that's controlling him, because Wrecker was fine and now he's not fine. So clearly it's the chip that's doing it. It's not Crosshair's fault.
And even Omega lets him know, because she seems to know what the chip's all about and know the programming and more info with that. So after she touches Crosshair's weapon thing, she kind of says it's not his fault. That's what the chip does. It controls your emotions and your ability and what you're supposed to do. And so that Wrecker kind of grabs onto that, and it's like, oh, so it wasn't his fault. But Hunter kind of throws him off, saying, you can't think about that right now. We got to get off this rock. Yeah.
And it's funny because her name is Omega, and if you think of the Greek alphabet, Alpha being the A and Omega being Z, being the end, right? So the end, the last, the final, it could be like the final clone, the final special clone, enhanced clone, whatever you want to call it. Her name is Omega. Her name was chosen that way for a reason. So I think we're going to find out something very special about her. I think they're building up to that, especially when we go back and we see that Hunter is. I guess they're checking him again and checking like his status and stuff like that, and then they want him to basically train these next recruits, so to speak, as we get this new guy who I guess becomes Admiral, who's talking to Tarkin about like some new
for Crosshair, right? Crosshair being scanned again,
yeah. So Crosshair comes out, and he is basically going to be the leader of this new group of 4 elite recruits, I guess, who basically left the Galactic Republic and want to join this new cause. And so they made comments about like, the Republic never had this, they never paid us, they never got,
Yeah,
saying
I
how
have
good it
a
is.
roof over my head and like getting
Yeah.
paid, food, all this stuff, more than the Republic ever offered.
Yeah, and so they're very eager to sign up and eager to show their loyalty. And Tarkin sends them on a mission to basically take care of Saw Gerrera and his band of misfits, I guess you can call them. And they're sent down, and they realize on the plane that Crosshair is the leader. And so one of the guys is all upset. He's a clone. He's gonna lead us, and this, and they're gonna be easily replaced. And we're gonna show them, and all this stuff about like not having to obey. And you can see like dissension in the ranks from the get go. And they get sent on their mission on the planet, and Crosshair's like commanding them what to do, and they all are moving like great, right? Like they kick off an
They're
alarm.
the first elite squad, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
they kick off alarms. The I guess the rebels at this point are there. They're getting ready, but then they get flanked and they're getting attacked from both ends. And Crosshair's taking out people to do the gas bomb, right? And you can see through the gas bomb. He's picking off people.
Flamethrowers.
Yeah, a bunch of them escape or try to escape, and then he basically takes out the pilot, and so they land right back down. And so they're there. And so like, okay, we did our mission, and Crosshair is questioning them about trying to find where Saw Gerrera is. And he says, okay, we're gonna take these guys back, and one of the guys is like, no, this is our mission. We're not here to take civilians. So we took down the soldiers. The job well done. Whatever. This is not what we signed up for. And so Crosshair's like, we're good soldiers. We follow rules. Like this is what we have to do. And so he's like, okay, guys, ignore this guy. We're gonna go in our own room. Forget about the clone. And so Crosshair pretty much just says, this is
Good soldiers follow orders.
Yes, and there's a reason why they picked me. Or do you wonder why they picked me as the leader of this group? Because I would be known to finish. What was the words he used? Like
I always
to carry
follow
out
orders
business?
or something like it. Yeah, it was
Do
always
what has
like
to be done.
done. Yeah,
Yeah, and so he basically kills the guy in front of the other people, and then tells them like, go get these people rounded up or on the ship or whatever.
Job.
Prisoners, yeah, and they didn't want to question
and they
him.
execute them.
That's
well,
right.
Yeah, because originally he wants to. So he executes the rebel that comes out because he said we're Saul.
Yes.
And she's like, I don't know, and even if I didn't know, I wouldn't tell. And boom,
Kills
he's like, and I believe you, and like killed her and said, don't worry, I believe you. And then he says, get rid of the rest of the pretty much execute the rest. And that's when the one guy says, no, like we're supposed to take the rebels out and we'll take these people back. But then Crosshair ends up executing him, and then he gets the other three to clean up the mess and take care of, they don't show it, but all the rest of there's blaster sounds and flame throwing sounds and things like that. So this shows how dark the Empire is turning into compared to, the rebellion was, take prisoners, save those who need to be saved. This new Empire is not afraid to kill innocent people, lead by fear, which is the Tarkin way. The Tarkin book is all about him. His rule is the only way to rule is by fear. That's the strongest and only way that you can truly rule. Planets.
And recruits that willingly sign up are going to be more loyal than people who are forced to by chip or whatever. They're going to want to fight back. And you see it here. These people are part of the Republic. They're joined up like, oh yeah, we'll join this cause. And then we say, wait, this is wrong. This isn't the right thing to do. And of course, Crosshair's like, this is my objective. I will do what I have to do, and I'll take you out for standing in the way, which is very Empire. And so the other troopers may have hesitated, but they're like, well, we don't want to die, so we'll do it. And that's what you see. We see that in Force Awakens with Finn, they're bringing down. He's on his first, I guess, main mission that we assume from the movie. He lands on the planet, and they're all taking over people, and they're fighting. They're in a war, and bullets are flying. And then when they have all these innocent civilians, they're like, okay, take them out, kill them, and they're all killing them at point blank range. She's like, wait a minute, these are civilians. Why are we killing innocent people here?
Yeah, unarmed innocent people.
Yeah, and so it just goes to show you that there are people who enlist thinking it's the right thing, and they are able to think for themselves and be like, wait, no, this is not what I want to do. This is not the right thing. And so we see these with people who fought for the Republic, who believed in something, join this cause and realize, oh wait, this is wrong. There's something wrong here. And it's because of people like Hunt, Crosshair, and the other clones who they're using for now, who will be used to train and lead the Stormtroopers, will force them to do what needs to be done, and then the people that come behind them are just going to fall in line at this point, right, as they replace the clones, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to kind of see this take shape. And it was cool to see the Stormtrooper helmets, like the black, like I guess special agent helmets, very Stormtrooper like.
Yeah, they're almost like Death Trooper type looks with the
Yes,
dark black thing. So
and the green
maybe
visor.
like is
Yeah,
Crosshair the first Death Trooper model? Like, are they all based off his, training and that kind of thing? Like, is this the first section of it? So it'll be interesting to see. Is this a normal reg uh, stormtroopers, or is this like the elite form, which they said that these are the 4 elite team members kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes and who Crosshair trains.
yeah, exactly. And we also, when they get back for their mission, they arrive and Tarkin's there. I think it's Tarkin or is the other admiral. I think it's Tarkin. And they're like, oh, like everything went successfully. I see like you're missing someone. He's like, oh, we did what needed to be done. We're back. Your mission's successful, complete, whatever. And Tarkin's like, great. Or Admiral, one of them is like, okay, great. We have our like what needs to be done. You guys follow orders. That's all we care about. Like we lose people. Oh
yeah,
well.
Soldiers know that they may die in this battle, and that's part of being a soldier.
That's right. And so, like, he goes back to the room. They're all putting their guns down. They're all in bed. They're all quiet. And you see him sit down. You see him, like, as he walks in, looks at the scratches on the wall from Wrecker. And you can see it bugs him a bit, but he can't do anything about it, right? Like, he's under control. And so they're in the room, and Tarkin's very happy with their progress. We kind of cut back, and we see the clones, and they talk about needing to replace this capacitor or whatever in the
power
ship.
core,
it's power core, and they only have one spare, I guess, in the ship. So they go to go fix it. And Echo's out there with tech because they're just trying to install it. And Echo hears the noise, and he's kind of like looking around, and we see as the viewer that there's something on the ship that kind of like runs behind, and so Echo's kind of looking in the field, and then he hears some noises, and then he kind of comes back, and then we see this they see scratches on the ship, right? I don't think it comes out yet.
That's correct. Yeah.
So they're like,
there's very I don't know if you ever saw the movie, but Pitch Black with Vin Diesel and Chronicles of Riddick, the series. It was very reminiscent of the spaceships being crashed. The creatures, they have these like tunnels that they all kind of go in and they connect, and it's darkness. So it reminded me of like Pitch Black mixed with Han Solo and Chewie being out there with their masks, and they're in the creature,
space worm thing.
And they're out there and they're shooting those bat kind of creatures or whatever that are stuck in the Minox, damaging the Millennium Falcon and things like that. So it was like a merge of those two, with the darkness, with the creatures and the face mask for breathing. So that's what the vibe I got from that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so they get ambushed, and then the creature runs away with the capacitor, right? Takes off, and so they run in the ship, and then they're like, was it Tech?
They tell Wrecker to stay because his head was hurting.
Yeah, and then before Hunter goes out, doesn't Tech identify what the creature is? He says they feed on energy, whatever.
Oh,
before
they
go. That's why
it's probably a power dragon or something like that.
Yeah, they feed off energy, and then Echo checks and says, "Yep, it looks like it stole the capacitor." And it's our only one. So then Hunter's like, "Okay, we're gonna have to go. I'm gonna go after it. Wrecker, you stay behind." And so Omega's like, "I want to come." He's like, "No, you're gonna stay here." And he's like, "Well, I'm part of the team, aren't I? Like, I want to come too." And so he's very, very quickly, very like, "Okay, sure, I guess. Stay close."
So Omega and he go off on one side, and then Tech and Echo go on searching. They kind of split up to search for this dragon and their part, essentially.
Yeah, and so they head off, and so Hunter's tracking it, and she asks him like, what is he doing, and how I can track it. He's like, how do you do that? He's like, well, it's one of my special abilities. And he talks about Wrecker, and we all have them, and mine is.
We all have one.
Mine is the.
And she says even Crosshair does.
That's right.
He
talks about that.
Yeah, he didn't bring up Crosshair. He just said, I have Crosshair and Wrecker also, or not Crosshair, Tech and Wrecker also have it.
Yeah, and so and then did she ask do you think I have one? I don't remember if she asked that, but
I don't think she did. But I think she asked, "Can I learn that?"
Oh yeah, can I learn that? That's right. And he says, "Oh, it's something like it's a special ability I have, and this, and it's not just the ability to track. It's like the sense, he
has an extra sense.
Yeah, he can predict kind of what's happening. He can sense what's going on around him. So that's really, really good, especially if you're a hunting, right? So anyway, so they're going off, taking after the beast. And he's using his flashlight, and then sure enough, the beast kind of jumps out at him. He gets knocked out, and his mask goes off, and so he's struggling to breathe. And so the creature runs off with the capacitor, because they see it on the floor down this tunnel. And so Omega grabs the mask, puts it on him, and of course Hunter's passed out, and so he puts it on the mask and is trying to wake him up. He's not awake, and then sees his gun on his chest. He's holding onto his gun, so
she also radios into Tech and Echo, saying that they need help. Hunter's down,
but no response.
But then, grabs the gun and the flashlight
and heads on in and says, I'm gonna go after it. So she goes in, follows it down, starts like doing the tracking thing, like picks up the scent, trying to like figure out what's going on, and heads down. And then the flashlight eventually kind of goes over the beast. It wakes up, so she freaks out, and so she kind of hides the flashlight, and the beast kind of calms down a bit, and then she kind of puts the flashlight back on it, and it freaks out, and then she realizes, oh, it's this thing. So she chucks the flashlight, and it takes off after the flashlight, and as it's chewing on it, you see it like absorbing the energy going through its body. And so I'm like, okay, so it's literally eating energy. And I'm like, that apparently it digests energy somehow. And so while it's doing that, she grabs the capacitor and just hightails it out of there. And as she kind of gets out, Hunter is obviously waking up, and she's like, Omega, where are you? Kind of thing. And so she jumps out, and she's like, oh, I'm back. I'm here. I got the capacitor. Wasn't that like the mission? Like, are you crazy? You could have gotten hurt. It's like, well, I did what we were supposed to. Wasn't that the mission to get the capacitor back? I got it here.
And he was surprised she had his weapon too.
Yes.
She's like, don't worry, I didn't fire it. Like, I didn't need it.
We're all good. And so they head back to the ship and kind of get it installed. And while they're there, Wrecker calls Omega back, has a surprise for her, and sure enough, it's a room. He builds a room in the ship, up a ladder, a little curtain and stuff, and his little stuffy there, Uma, whatever he calls it, is there.
Yeah. And she can see the stars because it's kind of where the seat is for the back part where they can. Is it the gunner ship or is it just a seat? I'm not sure, but something she can sit on and look out in the stars and see space, which is all new for her. And she makes a comment after she's lying down that this is the first time she's ever had her own room.
She's like, it's perfect. She's like, I've never had a room. And she's all happy. And then, the other clones come and look, like Echo and Tech are all like interested in like, oh, like what's so special? Like they're clones. They don't know. They're just army. They're just,
but even Echo kind of nudges Wrecker and does like a good job nod. Man. Like, you're good.
So it's really, really cool.
He's kind of like that teddy bear, he's more of the kid type, and he likes the stuff.
He's not very smart. Like he's very Hulk-like, and like I'm here for women thing. I'm here to strong. I'm here to destroy and smash, and give me orders. I'll get it done, and then just leave me alone. Like, I don't do anything fancy. And I just very, very brash. Get the job done and get out, and because of that, his intelligence is very low. He's able to kind of connect with Omega. Yeah, exactly. So a really cool moment. Kind of giving her not a part of the team, but like the acceptance of her and stuff like that.
This is your room now. You're part of us. You're staying with us. Get comfortable. We want you to get comfortable and not just sleep on the floor or beside the robot.
Yeah, and so they take off, they fly, and that's pretty much the end. Like that's the end of the episode, and it was a really cool, touching moment where we get to see like the relationship between her and Hunter, and him as being like a father. But then the other clones are learning like. Again, Wrecker had this like, oh, thanks for the food, like you're just one of the team. And then, oh, no, she's like a kid. Like you have to understand, like I know this is hard for us. We got to figure this out. And then him like taking on that role, I'm going to build you a place to live. And they're all kind of taking care of her. And while she's a teammate, she's also like their kid. So it's nice to kind of see that and them looking out for each other, but also like understanding that, she's not just a soldier. She is different. So I don't know. I thought it was really well done. It's great to kind of see where the Empire is going, how it's being built. Crosshairs, it kind of makes you wonder if they get rid of the chip, is he going to want to go back? Is he going to be happy where he is? Is he going to be so brainwashed by like following orders and like being like promoted and recommended and stuff in the ranks that is he going to want to stay with the Empire? It's going to be an interesting kind of conclusion, but I think my prediction is that Tech is going to build the device that's going to be able to disable it. He's going to use it on Wrecker because I think he's going to snap.
I agree.
And then they're going to have to find a way to save Crosshair, but will Crosshair go back with them or will he not? That's the big question. Are they going to be a team of potentially 6 with Omega, or a team of 5 again? If they like give her a life and kind of find a way to like have her go off and do her own thing, we'll have to wait and see. But it was a good show. I really enjoyed the episode. I'm very excited to see where we go from here. Where's the next mission? Where's the ship's fixed? They're going off. They're trying to figure out this chip thing. Where's their place in the world and kind of where they're going to end up. So
where were they heading? I wonder, through hyperspace.
I don't know, but she did mention in the episode of like not leaving a man behind, and we'll find a way to get Crosshair back. She mentioned that to Hunter, right? Like we'll find a way to save him or whatever, because Hunter was very sad about seeing the gear and all this stuff, and she says like we don't leave a man behind and stuff like that. So I think their goal is they're gonna find a way to go back and get him, but how? They're not just gonna show up in a facility filled with the enemy now, right? So it'll be an interesting situation on how they come across it, but I think you're right. I think they're gonna come across Rex. Wolf and Gregor, maybe help them out with the chip. It'll explain that whole situation in the other show, and then where are we going to go from here? Are they going to need his help to like draw out the Empire, and then they're going to try to like capture Cross? I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, we've still got a bunch of episodes left, but I'm excited to see where we go. And are we going to bump into any other familiars? I mean, we are basically before episode 4, but after episode 3. So it's a very interesting situation where, we know a lot of characters that are alive and are out in the world. Are we going to bump into people? Could this connect to Obi-Wan Kenobi show, right? Could this he shows up in the cartoon and where he is, they kind of stop off in Tatooine for something and bump into Kenobi, and he talks about, oh yeah, we remember you, whatever, and says that he's on his own mission and they got to find their own way. Maybe he helps them along some reason, and then that kind of picks up where the show is. I don't know. There's a lot of things they can do, but I'm very optimistic on kind of I think we're going to see more connections outside of this show, the way that Marvel is kind of doing it. I think we're going to see this kind of help bridge some other stuff that is happening at this point in time, right? Which the Kenobi show is. I mean, we know Mandalorian and all that other stuff is after episode 6, but because Kenobi is during this time, why not connect this show to the Kenobi and give that a branching off point? I think that'll make sense.
Will they have to get away from the young Darth Vader when he's still, learning to use his powers? He hasn't gotten his lightsaber yet, maybe. So, he has to have that, ability to earn his lightsaber, earn his reputation, all these things. Will they run into him and have to get away from him because he knows that they're wanted, or will they remember him from their arc in the Clone Wars, or whatever it may be? Ahsoka could pop in. They could see her, Rex. Lots of possibilities for sure in between the Clone Wars and Episode 4. So lots of the cameos that they could do, or stories explained. So it was very cool.
Yeah. So final thoughts on the episode?
I thought it was very good. I'm looking forward to seeing what Omega's abilities are, what her role is. I still, in my gut, feel like she's some sort of early clone with some Force abilities or midichlorians or something like that. I have that kind of gut feeling. In Legends, it was Starkiller that was the first successful clone, I think, with Force abilities.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of make that canon, or what they do in that way. So
that would be awesome to bring them in and make that connect that.
Maybe Omega's the first line of it, and then they're using her. They need her blood to clone, and maybe they'll get another clone of a Force sensitive.
If they bring Starkiller into this, and then it's okay, the game is out canon. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Now people who didn't play the game were like, "Who's this character?" They would have to
change it a little bit because Starkiller was original in the game 2. He was a clone, and it took hundreds of failed clones to get the
True, but it did take place after Clone Wars, so I mean, it doesn't interfere with the Clone Wars and what happened from that perspective. But you're right.
True.
It did.
I mean, they could still make it legit because maybe it took that many times from Omega's bloodline and DNA and splicing to get it right again.
Yep.
Right? Obviously it took Palpatine in both Legends and, Rise of Skywalker, lots and lots of attempts to get Snoke right, to get himself, his body, cloned or whatever. So they still can bring him in as the game. They could say the games are legit and canon, and that Starkiller is, has now been cloned, and this was how they got the clone, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And they did talk about needing, so the Kaminoans who live on the planet were basically talking about them being replaced, and they need to do something, and so they talked about having that the genetics from Jango Fett has been so copied, it's been so diluted that it's not as strong or as effective anymore, that they need to go back.
It's again a copy of a copy of a photo.
And get one special, they talked about making a special last clone.
Yeah.
to keep them relevant, to show them that like their clones are going to be the best. This is what the Empire needs, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they create and what comes out of that. And if it is Star Killer, that's going to be an amazing kickoff. Are they going to give them a show? Are they going to say, well, the game is, make a show based on the game? So like, oh, if you didn't play the game, well, here's a show that recaps the game.
Explains it all.
But man, like, that'd be so cool. And Sam Witwer is he's done voices for Maul. He's done voices as the son. He's in the show.
Star Wars.
He's a Star Wars fan. He did mocap for the game. Why don't make the likeness of him and he's back voicing his character? That would be amazing. I would so want that.
I agree 100%. It would be so cool. And then in Legends as well, isn't there what's the name of the place that they land in that planet? Who makes the clones?
Camino?
Camino?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a battle of Camino where the Caminos make anti-troopers to fight against the Empire in the Legends, and they have this whole battle, and I think it kills most of the leaders there, but I think they end up making some sort of clones to try and battle back against the Empire, because they're, obviously they're cutting ways with them and things like that. So it'd be very interesting to see.
They make it without the chip and said, this is what your primary directive is to stop these guys. Boom.
Yeah. So it'd be very interesting to see.
But who's funny though, right? They're just gonna do this. We're just gonna do this for free. Like, well, you're gonna run out of resources that you have to pay for. So maybe that's why they're like, we can do one more, and we've got to make it count and make the difference, and hopefully he can help lead the rest of the clones. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but I'm very excited for what that is going to happen, what Omega Special is going to happen, what the future is with Crosshair. But let us know what you think, folks. I mean, you heard our thoughts. You heard what we thought about this episode. Drop a comment below. Let us know if you missed anything that was of super importance. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And as always, friends, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.